What if love could be captured in a bottle? You take one sip and voila, you're in love. Or you've made someone fall in love with you. Love potions have been a part of literature for a very long time. The use of love potions dates back to ancient times, where they were believed to possess the power to inspire romantic desire or bind two individuals together. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to A Lyric Cornucopia. This is episode 149, and as I had mentioned in the previous episode, we'll be discussing the use of love potions in literature. After all, we're still in the month of love and friendship. I'd like to read a short story I found on the Bright Light Cafe site, which features Australian writers. The writer of this story is Margaret Dakin, who lives in Queensland, Australia. Love Potion by Margaret Dakin. When I was just a little girl, I realized that my grandmother was a witch. I was heavily into stories about Snow White and Sleeping Beauty at the time, so that may have been what tipped me off. My grandma was good to talk to. She liked most things, including Grandpa, who she kept in a shed down the backyard, where he restored old clocks, fixed things, and listened to the races on his radio. She disliked Bert Newton and the Pogues, and was always on at me not to have my tongue pierced because the stud would chip my teeth. In many ways, she was your typical grandmother. Into Tai Chi and pottery, she played the mouth organ, and she made weird quilts with all sorts of material and strings hanging down. But if she had wanted to fool me into believing she was not a witch, she should have got rid of her black cat. Only she could touch Satan, and the glare from that devil cat's green eyes was enough to freeze you in your tracks. If he ever walked across my path, I would keep my fingers crossed for 5 minutes and would try not to step on any cracks in the footpath all day, just to ward off any bad luck. Anyway, over the years, I got into the habit of calling around to see Grandma after school and telling her all my troubles. I never let on that I knew her secret, and she didn't say anything either. But when I was a couple of years into high school, I ran into a problem that required a bit of magic to set right. So I thought I'd broach the subject and asked her straight out. "Grandma, are you a witch?" I said. "Of course," she said. "I thought you knew." "Do you know how to cast spells and make potions?" "Depends," she said. "What's on your mind? Is it a love potion you need?" "Tell me all about it, Amy." "Well," I said, "you know it's my year 10 formal in November, and nobody has asked me yet. I'd really like to go with Steve-O. You know him. He's always lived next door to us. But he goes out with all the popular girls at school and thinks of me as just his sister." My grandma thought a minute, then went into her bedroom. She came back with a little bottle of red liquid, which she put into my hand. "This'll fix him," she said. "How can I get him to take it?" "Well, you're the one who has to take it. 3 sips are all you'll need." "When will you see him next?" "He's coming to my house to borrow my Mariah Carey CD tomorrow after school. He wants to burn it on his computer." Into pirating, is he?" said Grandma. "Anyway, when he comes, ask him in and take a sip of the magic potion. Then take your shoes off and go outside and jump up and down the path for a minute or so on that pogo stick I gave you." "He'll think I'm crackers. I can't do that." "Do you want him to take you to the formal or not? After that, come inside and take another sip. Then let that lovely hair of yours out of that ponytail. Brush it for 2 minutes and put a flower behind your ear. After that, sit on the floor and take the third sip. But don't take too long. Don't let him get restless. Keep him guessing. Will that work? He'll think I'm crazy." "Just think positive," said my grandma. "And by the way, don't wear that old pair of jeans and that baggy shirt you always get around in at home." Next day, I was waiting for Steve-O after school. I had on my new mulberry skirt with the jagged hemline, my chocolate-colored peasant blouse with my fringe belt around my hips. I opened the door, still not sure if I'd had the nerve to go through with the plan. "Where are you off to?" he greeted me. "Anyway, I can't stay long." It's okay, I said, glancing at my watch. I've got plenty of time. And before I knew it, I'd swallowed the first sip. It tasted a bit like the cough mixture I used to take when I was a little kid. You sick or something? He said. I just gave him the Mona Lisa smile I'd been practicing and kicked off my shoes. Just a sec, I said, and took up the pogo stick from the corner, went out the front door, and jumped up and down the path for a while. I saw Steve-O looking out the window at me with a puzzled expression. I went back inside and he said, You all right? Course, I said and took another sip. Then I started brushing my hair out, took one of Mum's gaberas from the vase, and tucked it behind my right ear. You seem different this afternoon, he said, looking at me as if he'd never seen me before. I put on my innocent look, and looking at my watch, I knew that I had better get on with it, or he'd be wanting to leave. I took the last sip and sat on the floor near my CD player. Steve-O got up, and I suddenly saw myself as I was, all dolled up, but with no shoes, hair all over the place, and a flower behind my ear. Dear, it's no good. He's going, I thought. Well, here's the CD, I said. I suppose you have to go now. But instead, he came over and sat down right beside me. No, I've got plenty of time if you have, he said. Well, looks like the love potion did the trick for Amy. A short story, but so sweet. But it brings us to the topic of love potions. In literature, love potions, also known as philters, serve as powerful narrative devices that explore the tension between free will and destiny, often leading to either comedic chaos or tragic ruin. In the 12th century legend of Tristan and Isolde, we have tragedy and fate. The pair accidentally drinks a potion meant for Isolde and her future husband, King Mark. The elixir binds them in a doomed, obsessive love that ultimately leads to their deaths. Tragic, right? In William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, there's comedy and chaos. The fairy Puck uses the juice of a magical flower called love in idleness. The resulting errors, such as Titania falling for the donkey-headed bottom, symbolize the fickle and irrational nature of attraction. By the way, this is one of my favorite comedies by the Bard. Then there are modern ethical dilemmas in the Harry Potter series, which I know most of you are familiar with. Potions like amortentia represent a sinister loss of autonomy. While shown humorously at times, the books reveal that these concoctions only induce powerful infatuation rather than true love, raising modern debates about consent and magical assault. Metamorphosis and magic in classical figures like Medea in Greek mythology use potions to manipulate emotions, portraying such magic as a dangerous tool of empowerment and peril. Love potion in a novel like Water for Chocolate, como Agua para Chocolate, by Laura Esquivel, though it takes the form of magical realism through food rather than a bottled potion. The most prominent example is the quail in the rose petal sauce. In the example of the love potion, there's a scene in which Tita, the protagonist, makes a sauce using rose petals given to her by her forbidden lover, Pedro. While preparing it, she pours her intense love, desire, and longing into the dish. The effect of this is that when Tita's sister, Gertrudis, eats the dish, the magical, passionate emotions are transferred to her, causing her to become consumed by lust. She runs away naked, setting a wooden shower on fire with the heat of her passion, and is immediately taken by a revolutionary soldier. As a consequence, the meal serves as a system of communication between Tita and Pedro, acting as a physical manifestation of their unconsummated passion. Ah, what a love story. Now, here's some additional information on worldwide love potions. In Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, hopeful Oberon instructs Puck to place pansies on Titania's eyes to make her fall madly in love with him. Shakespeare wrote, The juice of it on sleeping eyelids laid will make man or woman madly dote upon the next live creature that it sees. But Oberon's plan fails, and poor Titania falls in love with Bottom instead. Though Shakespeare is credited with inventing this love potion, many love-struck hopefuls around the world have used heaps of other elixirs, from common vegetables to tree bark and herbs, to try and woo the opposite sex. When mixed with herbs, the eggs of Uganda's gray-crowned crane, a bird that mates for life, are said to increase affection and monogamy. In Africa, the bark of the yohimbe tree is said to have certain aphrodisiac qualities when steeped in hot water and consumed as tea. Rum, honey, and red wine are mixed with tree bark and herbs to create mama juana, an aphrodisiac for men and women of the Dominican Republic. The people of Madura Island in East Java are known for their jamu ramuan, a concoction of herbs that, when ingested, restores youth to women and makes them more desirable to their husbands. On Dragobete Day, the Romanian Day of Love, frozen snow is collected and its water used as a magic potion by young girls. The water is said to ward off illness for the rest of the year. The Lappish love potion in Finland is an alcoholic brew made from blueberries instead of yeast. And my favorite, chocolate, used by the Aztecs as an aphrodisiac, has high levels of serotonin and other chemicals, mood-lifting agents found in the human brain that increase energy and produce certain euphoric effects. And the importance of eating your veggies. In the 19th century, asparagus, known for its aphrodisiac qualities, was served to grooms before their wedding night. In ancient Greece, carrots were consumed by both men and women to make them more desirable to each other. And here's an excerpt from Isabel Allende's novel, Aphrodite, about truffles. Napoleon ate truffles before meeting Josephine in their amorous battles in the imperial bedchamber, in which it is no exaggeration to say he always wound up defeated. Scientists, however do they come up with these experiments, I wonder, have discovered that the scent of the truffle activates a gland in a pig that produces the same pheromones present in humans when they are smitten by love. My goodness, so many choices for the lover. Which would you choose? One story that I included in the podcast a while back, episode 129 if you're interested, was based on John Collier's story titled The Chaser, which hints at the dark side of love. A young man buying a genuine love potion cannot understand why the seller sells love potions for $1, but also offers a colorless, tasteless, undetectable poison at a much, much higher price. Love. The beginning, everything is a bed of roses. You don't see the thorns until later. Well, that's a wrap for this episode 149 on love potions in literature and related facts. I hope you enjoyed the story and the discussion. As usual, any recommendations or comments may be addressed through the podcast app or via email at alericornucopiapodcast@gmail.com. Next time on A Lyric Cornucopia, we'll discuss family relationships through a story by Doris Lessing. Until then, remember to keep the light of imagination burning. This is your host, Luisa Morales, wishing you, as always, happy reading, listening, and writing.